On today's episode of the Real Recovery Podcast, episode number 65, we are honored to welcome Tristan S., a courageous young man whose journey through addiction, trauma, and recovery is as heartbreaking as it is hopeful. From early exposure to meth at age 13 to surviving 7 overdoses, federal threats, and homelessness on the streets of Portland, Tristan has defied the odds. With over 9 months sober, he now sponsors others, leads by example, and shares how daily surrender and community saved his life. This powerful story will move you and might just save someone you know.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Recovery Podcast. I'm Julie, your co-host. On this journey of healing and transformation, together with my co-host Peter, we dive into the heart of recovery, sharing stories that resonate with courage and inspiration.
That's right, Julie. Each episode is a new chapter in this vast narrative of recovery, and we're honored to bring them to you. But keep in mind, the perspectives you'll hear are for informational purposes only and may not reflect the views of the podcast or our partners.
Indeed, while these conversations can be a powerful part of your recovery toolkit, they are not substitute for professional medical advice. We encourage you to seek guidance from your healthcare provider for any treatment-related decisions.
And if you're facing an immediate crisis, or if you just need to talk to someone who understands, don't hesitate to call the Recovery Crisis Line at 503-223-8569. That number is also on our website. Help is available 24/7.
Now let's begin our episode
of recovery, real recovery.
Welcome. This is Julie
and Peter with the Real Recovery Podcast, and we're here today joined with
I'm really excited to have you, for real. When you speak, it speaks to my heart. Not everyone does. I've been through a lot of meetings. I always get something out of everything, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Welcome here to Studio H, which is Peter's house. We make it sound fancy, but it's Peter's house. And I'm really grateful to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
And for people who don't know how we met, I actually met Tristan through the number one favorite child, the only child,
Our number one
special
fan.
child, our number one fan, Cassandra. And it's like sharing your experience straight and hope. You can start if you want to and tell us about your childhood and how you got to where I met you and where you are now and give somebody some hope, man.
Of course. All right. First and foremost, I'm Tristan, 29 years old, and I've been at active addiction all my life. I have 281 days continuous sobriety right now. Longest time I've ever been sober. We'll get to it. I have 3 younger sisters. I'm the oldest of 4. Grew up not knowing that I was set up for the life that was paved my way. My dad was in active addiction most of my life. My mom she was in denial all the time. She didn't even know she was lying to herself. My parents split when I was 10 years old. And when that happened, my dad told me he was no longer be in my life. So I realized that me and my sisters were going to have to choose which parent we were going to live with. But my mom took full custody at first. And when that happened, I was so young, I didn't really know what was going on. I'm born and raised out of Bellingham, Washington, but my family was living in Linden, Washington at the time. I grew up really well, actually. 2 household parents, 2 household income. My dad worked as a roofer. And then my mom, I don't remember what she really did, but I know that she was working as well. I went to really nice schools. Michaela was the youngest, so we're about 6 years apart. My mom had 4 kids in about 6 years. So now, so when we moved to Bellingham at 10 years old, it was just me and my 3 sisters and my mom. And it was definitely hard on her. And it gave me the freedom that I didn't know that I had until I knew that I had it. And then I ran with it. Introduced to the skate park at a very young age. Before my parents split, my dad gave me a skateboard, and that was my life. My thing was to have a skateboard with me 24/7, because when I didn't have my father, I had my skateboard. I had home with me, even though I was never home. By 12, I was going into a middle school, hanging out with the wrong group of people, always hanging out with older kids from the apartment complex my mom had. We had a 4-bedroom apartment on Section 8. Then she worked for the Opportunity Council, the nonprofit organization, for about 10 years. Never really had everything that we wanted, but all of our needs were always met because my mom made sure of it, whether she had to work 1, 2, or 3 jobs at the time.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I never went without. We always had food on our table. Some nights she didn't eat and we did. And I didn't really understand why until I got a little bit older. By 13, I was a full-blown meth addict. Like I said, grew up at the skate park. When my mom wasn't home, I had the freedom just to go hang out with who I wanted, when I wanted, and how I wanted. And I grabbed onto skateboarding like I grabbed onto my father that wasn't there.
Do you think that was the change when they divorced?
Yeah, huge. Because I always resented my father and my mom for the choices that they made, knowing that I didn't know the impact that it would have on my life and the people that I would meet. I'm not saying that my parents didn't set me up for success. I just didn't always take their advice for their success that they wanted me to have.
I think also for me, having my mom be a working mom, I never saw her.
Yeah.
And I was well provided for. But sometimes you just want your parent.
Yeah.
And when you say she's working, it does give you free time and sometimes idle minds without structure.
Was your father completely out of the picture, or did you?
Absent. So even if I was with him, it was always with another female, another family, until he got married 10 years ago, 13 years ago. And then I had 3 stepbrothers. And once he found that family, replaced us 4 kids with their family.
Oh, my
But
God.
I moved. I've never been in a stable environment longer than 9 months. The longest that I've been here, actually, clean and sober at this present moment. I've always moved. I've always been in another state. I've always been in another school. So from 13 to 16, I jumped around 4 different middle schools, 4 different high schools, expelled in high school.
Yeah.
So I was never stable. It was always with one parent for 6 months and then moved back with the other parent thinking it's going to be better, greener on the other side. And how is it supposed to be greener on the other side when I don't even know what green looks like?
Yeah. And also, I imagine by bouncing around so much, you just got lost in the shuffle in a way, which made it easier for you to do.
It was kind of like everyone felt sorry for me in the sense of my parents are split. They don't know where to put me. I'm not doing well wherever I go, or I do well for a little bit. And then I would get in with my dad and I would tell my mom how bad it is. And at that time in Washington, I'm able to pick what parent I want to live with. And I would just create chaos. I would create the most chaos that a parent could physically endure at that time. And they would say, you know what, go back with your mom then, or go back with your dad if it's so much better there. And I would, and it wouldn't be. Every single time it was worse. One, because I couldn't ever really make solid friends. And then I was always hating my situation because I didn't know where I was at half the time, or it was always a new start with new friends and a school, new area.
No stability.
There's no stability whatsoever. So high school was just a party scene for me. I was hanging out with people that were 3 grades older than me. At 14 years old, when I moved back in with my mom, after the summer of 7th grade, I moved back in with my mom from my dad's. We were stealing my mom's car every single night. I was hanging out with 11th graders at the time. And then finally we got busted one night. The car came. I woke up with people driving my mom's car, didn't know who it was. I told them to get out. We dropped it back off at my place. I was in 8th grade. One of my buddies told me not to let anyone else drive. I let somebody else drive. The consequences were that my mom reported the car stolen and I almost went to juvenile prison at 14 years old.
Wow.
At that time, you still couldn't really tell me what to do. I was still my way or the highway. I didn't understand the severe consequences of the law. And the officer said, I'll be back in 3 days to arrest you and your friends. They never came back. Wow. So I don't know if that's a saving grace or if God was always been with me.
That's the only time I got away with something. Senior year, I'm sober and I go to a party and this girl goes downtown and she's drunk and she climbed the telephone pole on Broadway. And I'm like, we're going to go to jail. And we went to jail and everybody's parents came to pick them up. Mine was working and they said, you better tell your parents because we're going to call them. And I said, fuck no. I didn't tell her and they didn't call. all. And I was like,
oh my God.
no, but I figured it was because I was sober, meaning everybody else was drunk and I wasn't. So that was my give me.
Yeah.
It's the only time I got away with anything, just so you know.
So I got away with it, but I feel like it only hurt me in the end because then by like 9th grade, I'm still living with my mom. Actually, I guess I was with the parent longer than 6 months. It was like about a year and a half. I moved back and forth from Linden to Bellingham. And then 9th grade, went into a new high school, new friends, moved back to Linden. And then I moved back to Bellingham sophomore year. And in that amount of time, I wasn't really ever stable in longer than 3 semesters. I got kicked out of culinary school for calling one of my teachers pill popping hoe. That didn't end very well. They put me as a TA assistant with like juniors. And at that point, I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't have class now. I never really got in trouble with that incident. And then by 10th grade, I ended up going to a lot of college parties because of Bellingham. That area is just a college town.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had a buddy, his name was Jacob. And what really hurt me from 16 to I say about 27, 28 was one of my best friends that I grew up with from probably like 7th grade to high school. We went out one night. We were at a kickback with a bunch of high schoolers and a couple college people. And he got hazed for taking a substance that he wasn't supposed to. He ended up getting convicted, basically killing somebody, attempted manslaughter, and I lost my best friend in one night. Wow. And I blame myself because at the time, I've never seen this guy cry. Honor roll student. Me and his families were really close. He was always at my house. We did really dumb stuff together, but he was also like a skating buddy and a best friend that I never grew up with. And to have that taken away from you, and for me to get the phone call from his mom 3 days later saying Jacob's gonna be going to prison and they're charging him as an adult, that really hit me. So,
especially for a one-off.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was so surreal. I didn't know what was going on. When he got arrested, he was covered in blood. Didn't really know what really had happened. And he wasn't in the right state of mind until he woke up, and never really rebuilt that relationship, because when somebody goes away like that, it's institutionalized at such a young age. It was more like, why'd you become a drug addict? I said, why'd you go to prison? So it was very hard conversation. And then he wasn't the same person and I wasn't either because of the drug choices that I ended up making. By 17 years old, I thought it would be better to go to California, where my family is from, in Santa Monica, Redondo Beach area. And I bought 2 tickets for me and my best friend Chance at the time. It was like $187, one-way ticket from Seattle to LA. And I pulled up. We got picked up in a really nice car. My cousin said, wait till we get back to the house. Can't wait till you see what we have for you. He had some really nice females waiting for us and a lot of partying that I didn't know was going to happen. And he said that he's addicted to meth. I was clean for about a year at that point. And then I hit the road running at 17 years old. Didn't even know how bad it was going to get before it got worse. And then I ended up leaving California because I couldn't see my cousin like that. I had to fly my buddy home as well. Went to Job Corps at 17 years old after I got expelled from high school. Graduated with a GED, a high school diploma, and a trade in carpentry in 8 months, 7.5.
Wow.
So to say the least, you're not dumb whatsoever.
No.
Yeah, not even a little bit.
I got to travel a whole lot because of my disease, right? And I wake up with these isms nowadays, shopping-ism, social media-ism, but I also suffer from the things that nobody wants to talk about, that anxiety that's inside, that you don't know if you're good enough or if you're doing the right thing. But I always have this saying, what's done in the dark must come to light. And as long as I'm doing it in the light, I'll never see dark.
Nice.
And then a mantra that I've been going by is, I have a chance to make a choice to make a change. And as long as you have that chance and you have that choice, then you can finally make a good change. And whatever that may look for you. For me, it's doing the next right thing when nobody's looking, or doing the next right thing because I never have been able to do that before. And coming into recovery this time, I've had 7 overdoses, 4 knee surgeries, and then 1 heart infection 14 months ago. And I could never stay clean and sober longer than 221 days. And It felt a hurdle that I would never pass. It felt like a mountain with molehills, and the molehill would just keep sucking me in every single time I would try to get clean and sober. The big difference today in the last, 12 years since I've been trying this has me surrendering every single day, me being with like-minded people like myself, getting a tribe here in Portland.
I think I always say this, a foundation. When I came out of prison, I don't know that I wanted to do right yet. I didn't want to do wrong, but I didn't want to do necessarily. I just wanted to be a good mom. I knew that. When I got to AA, and I don't preach AA, but when I got there, I went through a few treatment centers as well. And wanting to do right and doing right is such a better place than my hustle was strong. And I don't really know too many people out of recovery now. I only surround myself with good people. And when you say you found your tribe, Peter says that.
Yeah.
All the
I found my tribe.
And he says when he came to our meeting that he found his tribe and it was so much better for him.
Yeah.
But
what in your time, in your 12 years of trying, you were talking about, what did you try? What were some of the things that did you
So it was treatment, right? It was always let me admit defeat, but not fully surrender to my defeat of myself. Been to 17 treatment centers since I was 21 years old. And
I thought 7 was a lot. 7's my magic number.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also got the courtesy and the ability to be on mommy and dad, or actually my mom's insurance, not my dad's insurance. I resented my father. I hated him more than anything. He just got out of federal prison. Now he's on Fed probation, and I forgave him about 6 months ago, and I have the best relationship I ever had with him now.
Wow.
Which is crazy because when I first got sober and I met Cassandra, Julie's mom, I ended up talking to my grandmother, which is his mom, and saying, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. She's like, you forgave your father, because if you don't forgive him, you never forgive yourself.
Forgiveness is about you, not necessarily about them.
As soon as she said that, though, I was like, okay, why do you have to hit me with that picture that's painted in my head? If I was to forgive him, I could finally forgive me. And if I forgive me, then I'll forgive him.
So can I tell you at, 24 years sober, maybe 23, 24, Billy from our meeting, we were talking about resentments being the number one offender. I can tell you what page it's on and whatnot. But I said, I have 3 that I can't get rid of that have stayed with me forever in a day. And my mom was one of them. And she had passed and we had gotten along, especially for Cassandra's sake, because she did right by Cassandra and was a great grandmother. But I was so mad that I got dumped off at my nanny's house. She was not a blood relative, but they literally dropped me off at 6 months and I stayed there till 11. And that's where I got molested from 5 to 11. And I just was, why did neither one of you want me? And it was a lot. So I always had that resentment and blamed her, not my dad, who really wasn't there, but her for some reason. And my friend said, write a letter. So I wrote a letter to my aunt instead of my mom, owned my shit because I put her through some shit just to get even, I think, sometimes. And I know she wasn't thrilled about visiting me in prison or having to take my child. That wasn't even 2 yet. But the letter and the forgiveness, after I did that, I started remembering good times. Like, it's crazy. Like, my heart started to heal. And if I would have known that forgiveness would help me, she's dead. Like, it didn't help her. You know what I'm saying? But it healed the part of me. I actually don't think I fully started to heal until I started doing that. And I did the same thing with the other 2. And 2 of them were past. So it wasn't about them. It was about me. And the 3rd one, I can politely agree to accept you. I'm not going to be your best friend, but I don't have to ruminate over it. Because rumination, was one of my number one things for a long time. Took me a lot of years. So the fact that you got that.
So how did that go?
So it's gone really well, actually, since I was able to do that, been able to rebuild the relationship. And I've been to a lot of detoxes and a lot of fancy treatment centers all over the United States because of my mom's insurance, which now I actually have on my own, which is real nice. Not in the sense of like it's a safety net, but the sense like make it to work every day. And I have the same insurance my mom had when I was able to go to all these nice treatment centers. So at 23 years old, I went to Florida for the first time for treatment, but I went to Arizona for detox, and they lied to me saying that I was going to be in a treatment center in Arizona. And then they said that the fit wouldn't be right for us, the age group. They were 30 and 40-year-olds, and I was a young 20-year-old. So they flew me to Florida for the first time. And I've been to Florida twice now for treatment centers. The first time, it was more of a vacation than anything else, but I stayed sober almost 6 months. And then I ended up leaving Florida for somebody that was an old high school romance, and it didn't end well for me. While I moved to New Hampshire to pursue something that wasn't really healthy because I wasn't really healthy myself, I ended up scarring my body, and I left keloids and almost took my life at 23. I have about 20 to 25 physical scars that I ended up inflicting on my own self-will, high on substances or not. And my mom had to come rescue me from New Hampshire, and it cost her about $10,000. And the keloids are about as big as a golf ball in some places. It looks like I've been stabbed and shot all over my body.
I don't know what it's, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
First of all, I was born in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Second of all, what is a keloid?
So a keloid looks like that.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it's like a physical scar that I had to have like shots in, and I had a lot of wound therapy and a lot of physical therapy. I had MRSA that almost killed me. That was in my left leg. And then at that time, my mom was, I got to take you away from this situation. Just come with me. And she rescued me again. She's like, you won't do anything, though, if you get back to Bellingham. And I was already messaging people by the time I got.
She loved you.
Yeah, she loved me dearly. And all she ever wanted for me was to live the life that I'm living today. Today, I'm a sponsor in the program. I sponsor other gentlemen, recreate, transform their lives, rebuild them from the ground up. The biggest thing is I had somebody do it for me. Now I get to pass it on to them. But there wasn't trials and tribulations that I have and that I didn't get to face in the meantime of it. There was somebody that said it. I know other people might have a relapse in them. My relapse looks like death or in prison.
That's what I feel.
And
I'm so scared to relapse.
Yeah, no.
I was an IV drug user, and I've never done fentanyl, and everything has fentanyl now, whether it's heroin, meth. And I'm so fucking scared to do it because I've seen so many people die. And so I don't want to anyway, but I'm just saying I'm scared. And I think it would be death, or I'd go fucking batshit crazy. How did you... The scars make me sad. I won't lie to you. Like, I'm almost in tears because
they made my family sad. I was unrecognizable for a long time in the sense of like, how can somebody so beautiful
exactly
be not psychotic, but out of their mind to leave literally scars that are about 6 inches to 8 inches on their body everywhere. And then everywhere I go, once it's swimming or it's an occasion, everyone asks me, what are those? Today, I had to call them beauty scars. My fiance, Brianna, her 4-year-old asked me the other day, what are those? And let me tell you, I've done a lot of work on myself to be able to be like, oh, those are just beauty scars. Those are on me for the rest of my life. Not have to describe it, but just to let her know. She doesn't need to know. But if somebody would have asked me that 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I don't know if I would have answered in a polite manner because I was still here in Portland, got caught into the drug game and the hustle and bustle and that fentanyl epidemic to where one, I almost went back to federal prison and I got caught on my warrants. I had to sit in a cell and that didn't stop me. What really stopped me this time was to admit that I had nothing to my name. I had no clothes on my back and I was going to die. I probably would have already passed away by now. The heart infection that I had 14 months ago did some damage, but it didn't kill me. It just left another scar. And those are things that I get to live with today. I wouldn't trade my story for anybody else's because it's my story.
Amen.
Which is crazy because even going back home this past weekend and going to all these events and telling my experience, strength, and hope, I've seen a lot of life at the age that I am. And a lot of people haven't been able to experience what I've been able to experience in the sense of the people that I've met. And the one thing I really love about recovery is everyone loves everyone exactly where you're at. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you look like. I came in with nothing and people loved me exactly where I was at. And I know what it's like to feel not to love yourself, but to have so much hate inside, so much depression, so much anxiety to where you don't know if you're going to have another day in you because you're just looking for that next fix.
Yeah.
So all these treatment centers, what that taught me was, one, I'm that addict that it's not stopping at 1 and 1,000, it's just going to kill me. For me, it's just complete surrender. Like recovery is what I do on a daily basis. That service is what I do for others. And the unity is my community that I've been able to build because recovery is possible.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me, babe.
Yeah.
It took me, I don't know, 4.5 years to be comfortable, to not want a drug. I wouldn't say that I didn't want it, but to not think about it. And I don't know when I just realized that, oh, yay, I know I couldn't get blood taken out of my arm at first. So I do get it. And I only hang out with people in recovery. And if people are actively using, I don't fuck with you. Period. Like I don't do those 12-step calls. I'm being honest. It's hard for me. So you got in trouble. You did some time?
Yeah. So I got caught with some weight downtown Portland, and I was running like Tom Hanks, Catch Me If You Can style for about 1.5 years here in Oregon. I had some other things that came up in a past relationship with the state that I'm still dealing with now with state classes. And whatever happened between me and her, I take accountability and ownership for what I did. It's not what she did anymore. It's what I've done. Yeah, I got caught with some weight downtown Portland, and they ended up arresting me on my warrant. They didn't charge me with possession. And they told me the first thing when they put handcuffs on me, I was looking at 2 years Fed time. When they told me that, all I could think is I'm just like my dad. I'm going to be a felon. Mm-hmm. And by the grace of God, they did not give me a felony charge and just took me on my warrants. And then one thing led to another. I came back to Portland after getting released and booked, probably like 30 days. And I went right back to the same people, the same situations, but it just got worse and worse to the point I had a gun pointed to my head, stripped down to my boxers, and they told me they were going to kill me because of the situation that I was in. And that was pretty gruesome. That was pretty terrifying to the point where I'm still not struggling, but there's still nightmares here and there, night terrors in the sense of, am I in the wrong place at the wrong time? But then I look and I look at signs, and the sign that I look for is, am I in the right place? If this is the wrong time, I need to get out of here. I don't go places that I'm not supposed to, and I don't go to places where I used to use.
Guess what? Same.
Yeah.
I don't go to places that I'm not safe.
But I can't really say that though, because I just went to Bellingham, and as soon as I went to Bellingham, that's where everything started for me. So when I went to Bellingham this past weekend to take my sister to a Seattle Mariners game, the first thing I did when I got back to Bellingham was go to a meeting. I felt everything in me, and I felt all these places that I've been living and running for so long. Yeah, living a menace to society, basically. Like I went to a meeting and got my 9-month coin, and it wasn't the coin that really did anything for me. All these coins just to let me know that I got one more day. All I have is this present moment, and what I do in this present moment will define the rest of my life.
I have to stay in today.
Yeah.
Things are not always perfect, right? And I've been in prison. I have a scar on my face from a gun, so I can relate. But I will tell you, if you're listening, Peter's good at meditation. I felt like my brain never stopped. I'm saying just full throttle. But if you can just stay in today, do what you can for today, do the next right thing for today, stay sober for today. It's easier, not I'm going to stay sober, this, or I'm going to do that. I think there's a lot to be said for today, and you can't change the fucking past. And who you were on drugs isn't who you are off of drugs. I'm just saying.
No,
I promise you, I've never been promiscuous in my personal life off of drugs, ever. I'm a picky motherfucker, right? Like I said, there's a Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde. You know, who you are today wasn't who you were drinking. And who you grow into, I think as long as you stay sober, it gets better and better. There's going to be bullshit all the way along.
Oh, there's still, definitely. I deal with on a daily basis, training new guys at work because I'm an asset, not a liability. I really like what you said about you can't change what you've done in the past. There's a saying that I always tell myself, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, and we're living in the present.
Exactly. And that's where you have to stay because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I have no fucking clue. And that's hard for me because I was a planner, a control freak. The thing that made me so good at my job, task manager and stuff like that. But you can't change the past. And that's been a hard thing for me to accept.
It's hard because I think that for me growing up, the mistakes that I made, I've always defined myself as a mistake or a failure. I no longer think of my mistakes as me being a failure because I learned from them and I'm teachable. And when I learn from my mistakes or I learn from a situation and I go into the next scenario or the next situation, I take that learning experience with me and I don't do the same thing that I did in the past.
Amen.
And it's been a game changer, let alone with the people that I get to talk to. And I share my experience, strength, and hope with some people. And I've been able to give people hope in the ways that I don't know what I just said. But obviously, I'm super, super grateful that it helped you because today I have a voice and today I have that choice and today I have a purpose and a reason to live.
And you have accountability, babe.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge. Going up for your court appointment is huge. Not
I've had
everyone does it.
multiple court appointments.
Look, I waited for a year. I went to get sentenced. I went to so many court appointments and have this saying that it's better not to have the warrant. Getting arrested when you don't know it's coming is fucked up. It is better to go to your appointment than to get arrested with the warrant because I've been arrested with the warrant. And I'd rather go and get taken into custody and know it's coming than fucking get the random warrant and you're just driving and they got you.
I had a warrant at 80 days sober this time. So we're talking 6.5 months ago. I had a warrant for my arrest.
6 years sober. I had to go to Washington. Didn't know I had a warrant. And my first sponsor went with me. When you get out of prison, they ask you, do you have any tickets? And I had one with DMV. My license was suspended. I knew about that and they did too. They said, you got to take care of that one on your own. But it wasn't a warrant. It was just a ticket. And then I had a fucking warrant in Washington for the only time I had been in Washington ever in my life. And I hadn't committed the crime, but I got a ticket and didn't appear on it. So at 6 years sober, not knowing that warrant's there, walking into the court and my sponsor said, they handed us a sheet and it said this could lead to, 2 or 5 years. He goes, do you want to go? And I'm like, we fucking drove all the way here. And they didn't have the records of my warrant. It was like from 13 years prior. I got to pay a $200 fine and go. And it's fucked up being sober, having a warrant.
It's messed up because of the sense of like, how am I going to do X, Y, and Z? And then the law wants to come in with A, B, and C. And what I learned about this whole experience and what I'm still learning about this experience is there's wreckage in the past that I'm still cleaning up to this day. And then I'm going to be able to move forward and let the next gentleman or the next miss know if you show up and you keep doing the next right thing, your life does get better.
And it takes time.
It takes a lot of time.
I had 3 years of parole. I didn't get to AA until 6 months before my parole was over. Yeah. And I just went to get off parole.
I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is to just put the wreckage behind. I like to look at it like everyone's been in the car, but we all experience a different crash. And however that looks for whoever's listening, my crash was really bad to the point where I was thrown in a tornado, a hurricane, and a tsunami hit. But for somebody, it could look like you just hit and you just got a little bumper scratch. For me, somebody always told me it gets a lot worse before it gets better. I thought they were full of it. And it really does just get a lot worse before it gets better. At 25 years old, I never overdosed. I overdosed the first time when I was 27 years old. And I thought that I was that Superman, that invincible person that nothing bad could ever happen to, until it happened to me. And I realized, wait a minute, my life could be gone in a heartbeat, just like anybody else's.
Cassandra's father died of an overdose. Trust me. And I to this day don't know why I was the parent that got to stay sober, but I sure was glad she needed one, for sure.
I think being sober has given me the ability to see where I'm wrong and admit where I'm right, but to learn from when I'm wrong and to see the good in what could be. It's given me the ability to know that if I was to keep my mouth closed, that somebody else is hurting, they might not be able to hear what they needed to hear, because I'm selfish in the sense of I know it and I really don't know it. And that's why I keep showing up to...
I say that this long, don't I, Peter, all the time.
Yeah.
Show up to these experiences and show up to these meetings and these newcomers. And it's crazy because whether you have 30 years or you have one day,
we're all the same.
We're all the same. There's no different because time is now. It's not yesterday and it's not tomorrow. It's what we get to do with each and every precious moment.
I love that. And along that, you know how we all have the same amount of time. It's true. It's 100% true. And the other thing is, there's people that might not be my best friend in a meeting, but I love you because we're here for the same purpose. It doesn't mean I'm going to go out to dinner with you, but I'm going to love you during this meeting because we're all here for the same purpose. And not being judgmental of this person's story, of this person's story. It just might be a different path. I think that is a huge lesson. And I love what you said because it makes me feel better that, first of all, I don't know it all. I don't even begin to know it all. And I think when you do think you know it all, ouch. You know what I'm saying? I think that's when I think recovery is a process, a journey. There's no finish line except for to stay sober. And I will tell you, the worst shit has happened to me sober. Okay, some of the worst shit. And just to stay sober during it is the best thing, because how's court going to be if you're not sober? How's jail going to be if you're not sober, right? You're going to lack accountability. How'd you get to another chance?
So I got to another chance because I was homeless on the streets of Portland, under the bridge, sleeping with the wrong crowd. I ended up staying at a family friend's house here in Portland. And right before that, I was downtown where they give out free coffee. Well, I used to shower downtown. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's for the homeless. And there was a guy there that said, do you want to see if you want to sign up for treatment? And this was back in June. And I said, I'm tired of the same BS every day, not knowing where I'm going to use the restroom, not knowing if I'm going to eat a meal, not knowing how many substances I'm going to put in my body till I might not wake up. This dude signed me up for another chance. And he gave me hope in the sense that he had 3 years sober. And I told him I've been in recovery before, accumulated the amount of 5 years in the last 7 years, or 5 years in the last probably 10 years, off and on in recovery, 3 months, 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 30 days, 90 days, stuff like that. And I knew what it felt like and I knew what it tasted like, but damn, did I not know what it was going to feel like and taste like at this present moment. And if you would have told me what I have today, 9 months ago, I would say there's no way. There's no way. But there is a way, and it's getting out of your way. And then do it.
We do get in our own way very much.
Yeah. It's really easy to take the reins back on my life and be like, oh, I'm the one that did this. And I don't need to give credit to the one that did do this, which I call God. And if that word offends you, look at good orderly direction. Yeah. Whatever that means. You know what I mean? Whatever it's going to take for me, I believe in a power greater than myself that has saved my life and keeps saving my life every moment that I'm awake. And I tell my sponsees, it's going to get better before it gets worse, and that pink cloud will surpass. But when it does, just know that the work that you've been able to put in is going to uplift those moments where you don't feel like you're enough. And, you know, that nice car, these materialistic items doesn't make me feel good. It's the peace and the harmony.
If you focus on the material items, right, you will never be grateful for what you have. And for me, sobriety is important, But I'm going to tell you, my daughter wanting to go with a meeting with me on Tuesday nights is fucking priceless. It's worth millions of dollars because I never would have gone to a fucking meeting with my mom. I'm just being honest. And the fact that she like, hey, we're going to the meeting. Oh my God. What a blessing.
I think it's really cool when family members want to come to a meeting with you to understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
And I had my two little sisters come with me to a meeting, and they said, this is a meeting? This is like counseling, but I pay a lot of money for that. I was like, put $1 in the 7 tradition basket.
And you don't have to if you don't have it.
Yeah, you don't have to if you don't have it. But more or less, I just listen to somebody else's experience, apply my classroom, which I call a meeting, into my daily life and see how it gets better, and then share about how I'm applying it in my classroom to everyone else in the class, and maybe their life gets better. Whatever you could take out of it.
Whether it does or doesn't, then yours does.
Mine does.
Exactly.
And this whole journey from another chance to where I'm at today with me, my fiance, her 2 little ones, getting this promotion at work, none of this would have been possible if I wouldn't admit defeat, fully surrender to the fact that I'm an addict and an alcoholic foremost, and that I have a disease that wants to kill me every moment that I'm awake, and I have to do something about it. And to have friends, true friends like Cassandra when I first came in to Another Chance was honestly heartwarming, because everyone could see something great inside of me, but I could never see it inside of myself till somebody told me that I was worth it.
It has a huge heart.
Yeah, I had a lot of hatred towards myself. I'd look in the mirror and just be like, just hate myself.
I had so much shame.
And shame and just all kinds of feelings against me from me, which is like crazy.
Me too. There was so much shame. I think I tried so hard to be so damn professional, seriously, to climb the corporate ladder, because I was so ashamed of where I had gone. And I just wanted to be this parent you could be proud of. And this good.
But in the
parent.
rooms, I think that's where my view of myself started to change, because one, I was just like all of them. I was right there with them. I came to realize that. It took me a while, but I realized I am the same. We share the same thing. And then they actually said they appreciated me. They wanted to go to lunch with me. They were like, if I didn't make a meeting, where were you? They were concerned about I'm like, wow.
They will love you until you can love yourself.
And that's the key phrase right there. And one of my he was my second sponsor, but he would say that over and over. And at first I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
This guy, Doug, always said in the meeting, you're welcome, you're wanted, and you're needed here. Yeah. And Daryl, that was on our show. Daryl was going to commit suicide that night. And it was somebody saying that to him. Yeah. And he's sober 42 years later.
Yeah. There's a lot of phrases or cliches or whatever you want to call them.
That sounds stupid.
That sounds stupid. And they toss them around and you're just like, what the? But then all of a sudden they start to click. And you're like, wait, I've experienced what that phrase has been, that they've been throwing around. I've actually experienced it.
I think for me, it was learning the cognitive behavior therapy, which I thought was so stupid when I first heard about it. But your thoughts turn into feelings and your feelings turn into actions. When I release that thought, whichever it may be, I know it could be wrong, but that feeling that I'm feeling I'm gonna feel it regardless. But that action I can never take back. So if I'm able to rethink about my thought and think good thoughts instead of bad thoughts, whatever that may be, right?
That's where rumination came in.
That feeling of hatred or peace, that's all on me now. Now, how I react to that action is on me as well, because people see micro expressions all the time on your face. They can see it in your body language. And I always I never really accepted people to love me. I thought you always wanted something from me, or I was going to get something from you.
Same.
And I realized that's not everybody's true intentions, especially with people in the room. My sponsor of 4 years, Steven, just relapsed not too long ago. And I got to go to his treatment center. And this is the one sponsor I lied to about everything and under the sun. I never think I told him the truth, not once. And to go into his treatment center, this go around about a month ago, and to go share experience, strength, and hope, it was unbelievable, because his sponsor knew everything about my story. And when he heard me speak this time, he said, "Where did Tristan go?" And I couldn't believe what he was saying because I was fearful of this guy. You want to talk about running? I was facing. Fear can mean face everything and run or face everything and rise. And I was rising to the challenge of I'm going to sit right next to this guy that I know he knows everything that I've done. But it doesn't matter because where I've sat today is because of the work that I've been, the byproduct of the work that I've been able to do.
Yeah.
And it's a day in and day out process. Like I set alarms for a lot of things nowadays. Google Meets is probably one of the best things just in the sense that you have a really busy schedule. You never had anything important to do. Now you have 10 things to do, but not to overload yourself.
We share a calendar.
And I think we can miss the point of what life has to offer when you get mixed and lost in the sauce of the sense like you start working a lot, you start doing meetings. Why are you doing all these things? What's the reason? What's the purpose? And I realized the reason and the purpose when I stopped looking for it. Mm-hmm. And that was a game changer for me. Is like I told my sponsees, more is going to be revealed in your recovery. However you take that is how you take that. When you have a good day, it looks like everything's going great. And when you have a great day, it looks like everything's going really chaotic, bad. Work's going really bad. You're just flustered. You don't want to talk to anybody, but you still go home sober. When I have more good days than I do great days, I appreciate the great days that I do have those good days because the good days are going to make those great days that much gooder or that much greater. Excuse me. And somebody told me that at a NA camp out, and I didn't, or an AA camp out in Oregon City. And I didn't really understand what he meant. When I started having great days, I really appreciate my good days because now I have a lot more good days than I do great days. But when I have those great days, I'm aware of it.
Yeah, nice.
And I don't have to be scared of it anymore either. I don't have to run from it. I know this is going to pass, or this too shall pass, that little cliche that we're talking about. But
Can I tell you, that's one of my favorites. I hang on to that. Knowing everything's changes, right? Nothing just stays the same in this moment. Or the other thing is like, you know, I'm sad I don't have a job. I've only had 3 jobs in 25 years, right? Always had money in the program. This is different for me. But if I was working right now, would I be sitting here with you?
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying. And so like, this other guy that was here about a couple weeks ago, I don't know, maybe a month ago, was in my very first meeting. And to be sitting with him and not working, and he's probably going to die soon because he's sick. Like, how priceless is that? Beats any work day. I just need some money.
Yeah, don't we all? Sign me up.
I think for the longest time, I thought my shit didn't stink. And then now I can realize that, no, that's not the case. I still go through these trials and tribulations, and I need to know how to better my trials and tribulations with your experience. Because my experience got me loaded in the past. My experience almost killed me. My will almost took my life. And now when I listen to other people get through some type of situation or some type of experience that they've gone through, I'm able to not only be aware of it when it comes, but I'm able to see, okay, if they did that, how is it going to turn out for me? And then when I realized that outcome was a lot better than I ever expected, because if I have expectations, they're always going to fail me. So I never expect anything because then it's always beyond my wildest expectation.
Expectation is a resentment waiting to happen.
That's a way to put it.
It is, you know, and I think for me, I'm an emotional bitch sometimes, but dealing with heart issues, and I'm not talking about the heart working, is the hardest for me. Heart being broken. Like my first sponsor, when he died, I cried for 3 months. It was the first person I trusted in this whole entire world when I got out of prison. And losing that was like, oh my God, am I going to survive? You do. But I think heartache is a hard one to deal with. I think that's when people think, and it's not. It's when you buckle down. Maybe you do 2 meetings a day. Maybe you do 3, whatever. I don't know. But every time I'm going through something serious, I just buckle down more. And I buckle down a lot, but I'm just saying I buckle down more. Yeah. And people, nothing is worth that. There's nothing worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
you talked about you use Google Meets to keep your schedule and have your many alarms set and stuff. And I think that's a fantastic tool to use. And for me, when I started doing better, I had got some sobriety under my belt. I got a job, I went back to work, got integrated back into society is how I looked at it. AA slipped off it kept being pushed back to, I don't have time for this meeting. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for this. And over time, I ended up slipping and going back out. So if you're going to keep alarms and keep a list, make sure you put this is my note to self, make sure I put my AA stuff on there too. It's just as important as any other. In fact, as I've come to realize, for me, it's more important than most other things.
And there's a saying, and I just heard this last year, and I've hung on to it because the year before I met you, Peter, was the worst year. And it was the least amount of meetings I went to. I went to meetings, but not like I normally had. And do not let the life that AA gave you keep you from AA.
Yeah, that's another good saying.
And that to me is, and some people can do it, some people can't. I don't want to.
I'm not one that has to go every single day to a meeting at this point, especially since I do the podcast, which is like an AA meeting every single day. But some people do. And that's what the beauty of the program is, that it's yours to adapt to you, to keep you.
I go a lot. Sobriety. It calms my brain.
Keep you in recovery.
It's not about usage anymore. I just go there because my brain again works. I'm like you. I'm very, very intelligent about some things, and my brain sometimes doesn't turn off. And I can go to an AA meeting.
Well, the other thing is that now in my life, I have so much fellowship. So I'm surrounded, even when I'm not in meetings, I'm surrounded by people that I see in meetings. And often when we go out to eat or do stuff together, we talk about recovery. It's just,
me and Peter are married sometimes. There's sometimes
it's so
when
much
we're
a part
together.
of our lives, or my life anyways. And I just can't see it. Looking back, it's getting dimmer and dimmer, whereas this is the bright, shining, happy place.
I think when you first get sober, you hang on to meetings like you hang on to your ass.
Yeah.
But in the sense of everything starts to get real good, meetings don't become that prevalent, or you just set it to the side. I'm too busy. There's excuses for everything. And for me personally, when I know I don't want to go is when I need to go.
Yes.
And when I do want to go, I still don't. When I want to go, it's okay. I might get something really good out of this. But when I don't want to go is when I really get something good out of it.
Exactly.
And I've never left a meeting, or I've never left a gathering like that.
Feeling worse.
Pissed. Yeah, no. Yes. I've been like, that was a great experience. Why don't I go more? Oh, because my brain tells me this isn't a thinking disease. It tells me it's a me disease. And if I'm not there, my presence, one, it's going to be missed, and two, I might miss something. I might be able to tell somebody to save their life.
Exactly.
And that's what I really love about meetings, in the sense is like, I'm listening to what you've gone through, and it could be a relationship problem. It could be your work experiences problem. It could be you being a parent and not knowing how to deal with children when you're sober or clean. For me, it was not knowing how to be a big brother to sisters that really loved you, but you don't even know how to love them until you love yourself. And then my mom, on the other hand, that's a whole nother ball game. She was my biggest enabler. So today I talked to her like she's my mom. How are you? Did you eat anything today? Like little questions like that, to where I don't want anything from you. Not financially. I don't need anything besides love and support. And when I laid that barrier and that boundary of, look, we've never had this type of relationship, and recovery's given me the ability to be aware that I don't need you to enable me anymore. I just want you to love me for me. Yeah. And I don't have to make any promises to you. All I get to do is be there, show up, and be present. And that, I think, is the most beautiful part about this whole journey, is as I evolve, as I get to elevate, and as I touch other people's lives, not only my own, but people in my circle, people always look at me like, one day you should be a motivational speaker. I always thought about it, but at the same time, I speak because I get to send a message to people that might be struggling, or I'm just telling my personal experience. And
That's exactly what this podcast is for, right there.
it's literally what I've gone through if you hear something that may help you or may save your life, just know you're loved, wanted, and welcomed. And somebody told me that, and I didn't really know what they meant because I just wanted to dog you in the sense of like, why are you looking at me? You're looking at me because you see who I really am, not what I've done.
I think how we get there is different. Sometimes it's a nudge from the judge, a DUI. Sometimes it's a loved one wanting you to go and whatnot. But I think when you stay, it's pretty much for the same reason, because now it's become, I don't know about you, but it's my foundation, and it's my foundation for living life. It helps me in just about everything. And every lesson I learn, like you, I learn from them, you know?
I think a big part of my recovery has been the gratitude and not having an attitude. In the sense of, if I'm grateful for all the little things, my needs are always taken care of. The wants are always going to be there. But if I'm grateful for all my needs, like a roof over my head, food in my belly, great circle around me that supports and loves me, then I get to give that circle back to somebody else that might not have it.
No, 100% agree.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. And despite some uncertainty, I have everything I need today. I'm obviously not starving. And I'm just saying, I have clean clothes. I have a roof over my head too. My car might be old, but it's going to hopefully get me home. And some people don't even have a car or a valid license, right? How lucky are we?
I remember when I wanted everything that I have today. So when I get down on myself, like a good job with benefits, being responsible employee, showing up to work every day, showing up to my sponsees meetings, helping other gentlemen in the sense of, here, this is what I've done. If you do what I've done, these are the results you're going to get. One, you're going to stay sober, and two, you're going to change your life for the better, right? I've never worked with a sponsee that's worked the steps and then their life didn't get better. It doesn't happen. Now, I'm not saying that everything that they ever wanted is going to come their way. But man, their needs get almost met immediately in the sense
There's
of...
a difference between needs and wants.
Yeah,
too.
definitely. Huge. You want to be able to get a job. Okay, yes, you'll be able to probably get that job. Now, maintaining that job or maintaining that position or maintaining who you are and not staying stagnant in the sense of not doing anything. You don't just get sober and do nothing and everything comes to you. That's not how this
Peter
works.
wants a crew that sets up the mics and does all this. We have a wagon, okay? And we carry them. We have our needs met as far as what we need to do the podcast. But it doesn't mean, and hopefully someday we'll get funded because we actually need that. But it's so true. What your wants, and I'll tell you, not all your wants do you need.
One is like when you want to breathe as bad as you want to succeed, then you'll finally be successful in whatever area you want to be in. And that's from Eric Thomas. There's a motivational video. So I do meditation as well, because when you meditate, you reset the amygdala in your brain, and you can reset it within 5-10 minutes, and you can restart wherever you're at. But what I was talking about with Eric Thomas was, I had this student that said meet him at the beach, and he almost drowned him. And he said, as soon as you came up for air, he said, as soon as you want to be successful, as bad as you want to breathe, you'll be successful. How bad did you want to breathe? For me, I have asthma. Being SOB, shortness of breath, it really sucks. Shortness of breath feels like a disease trying to kill me inside. It wants to strangle you until you have no breath. Today, I don't have to breathe that same breath that I used to breathe in my active addiction, because these isms still come along into the play of like, all right, foodism is a real thing, or social media, or...
Peter and I lack that ism.
Social media.
Yeah. When you say social, I say phoneism. Whatever ism is going to be, there's so many things that us as humans gravitate towards, and we just switch one addiction to another.
Oh, you don't have to tell me, babe.
You know, it's just like...
I got rid of the drugs.
Yeah.
Then there's been a few addictions. Shoes. was it for a while.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Well, and how I justified it, right? I'm not buying a bag of dope.
I did the same thing.
I'm not buying a bag of dope. I can buy a pair of shoes.
I'm not buying booze.
Exactly.
Better than
that was it for a while.
And to get me through those cravings, sugar, which is part of why I'm this way. But
if you're celebrating, you're not going out and drinking.
Yeah.
But you can have some fucking genie.
Yeah. You know? But then you have to, at least for me, I have to come to those. Okay. I'm just, like you said, swapping one addiction for another. So let's cut that out and let's try to break that cycle.
I'm battling.
And that's when the program for me helped me really get to the crux of why did I do, for me, alcohol, or why was the addiction there? What was the addiction doing for me? And once I realized and was able to come to terms with why I felt the need, that it made it, okay, now I can tackle it. Now I can break it down. Now I can move on. And it's a slow process and it's continual for me. Recovery is, as far as I see it, it's just my way of life from now till the end. But
I think being in recovery for me, I just want to be the best person I can be and be better than yesterday. I see other people in recovery. I see how you eat. I see how you live, and I see how you walk. And there's a lot of people who say they're working recovery, but how you treat somebody's working in recovery. How you act in public's how you're working in your recovery. All these little things. So if you're not cleaning your side of the street and you're blaming everyone for theirs, are you really working your own recovery? For me, that was a big thing. Yeah. I don't need anyone to see what I'm doing because I know my God, one, knows what I'm doing, and two, when I walk, it's a blessing in disguise because I'm that miracle that barely even made it out of this. Still making it out of this because it's never ending. Like you said, it's a journey, not a race.
It is.
Somebody told me that this journey's for as long as I get to breathe, as long as I get to see, and as long as I get to hear.
Exactly.
And being a person with the anxiety, the depression, the shame, the guilt, the remorse, all these feelings that I've had to feel and beliefs and behaviors, it has only made me realize how much that kindness, peace, harmony, love, all those feelings, and then my beliefs that I'm not good enough. Now I get to say I am good enough. I am able to. All those powerful words that I'm able to say to myself instead of I can't, I'm not, and I won't. When I tell myself I can, I am, and I'm able to, it's a game changer in the sense of like, when I tell myself these things, now I'm manifesting where I want to be and manifesting where I'm at. And then I'm able to help another gentleman or another lady or another miss be like, you know what? I did it. Somebody did it before me. Now it's your turn to do it.
Yeah.
Nice. Very well put.
So before we go, because I know you're on a time limit, because I could spend all fucking night with you and not in a romantic way, because I'm definitely old enough to be your mama. Anything you want to say in leaving? Is there anything that you've done a pretty good job of it, my man?
Yeah.
And I knew you would.
Talk about a message of hope.
I was so excited for you to come here. Did I not say, this one's going to be bombs? It's like meetings, and not to get sidetracked. Some meetings are 2 stars. It's a good meeting. Some meetings are 5 stars and they change your fucking life. I always hear something at every meeting that I can take with me, and I never feel worse leaving a meeting than when I came. It's the same with the podcast. Some of them are great, and then some of them are fucking life-changing. And this is one of those ones because, one, I believe in you since the first day I met you. And I don't always have that. I like everyone, but I don't always have that connection. I've had that connection with you since the first day. You say you're going to court. I'm like, how did it come out?
Yeah.
And I don't take the time always to do that with everyone. I'm being honest. I be on my phone all day, and I'm not a phone bitch. I'm not a social media bitch either. But yeah, and I love that. I love that 2 addicts can connect to their family. My chosen family is amazing. Cassandra's my only my family, and she's pretty fucking fantastic.
She's been a really good support system and one of my really good close friends in this whole journey. Really chill in the sense of where I could open up to her. And then my fiance, obviously, she's just a good friend, you know what I mean? And some females don't understand that a man and a woman can have a good relationship and a bond that's just a friendship.
Oh, actually.
And it's been one of those friendships that I will cherish forever, wherever I go. If there's one thing I can leave with this saying is don't quit before the miracle happens, because it might just be getting started.
Yeah.
Your friend saved my life. I got clean and sober first to have a healthy baby and then to be a good mom. I came later, and it's for me now. But if it wasn't for that child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being so open and sharing your heartfelt story. And I know that someone out there will hear it and many people will get something from it. I know that, just like we say in the rooms, every meeting I go to, I get something from everybody in the room. So thank you for sharing your experience, strength, and hope with our listeners. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter.
I want to tell you one last thing. I have a scar from a gun in my face, right? Your scars are your beauty marks. And that's kind of, I think mine's cool now, So thank you again. This is Julie.
And Peter for the Real Recovery Podcast.
And Tristan.
Thanks for listening. That's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks to each and every one of you for lending us your ears and hearts. Your engagement is what fuels our passion and keeps this podcast thriving.
We cherish the moments we share here and hope they resonate with you, whether you're on a daily commute, at the gym, or just taking a moment for yourself.
Make sure to head over to our website at realrecoverypodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter for the latest insights and uplifting stories from our community delivered straight to your inbox.
Click that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player too, so you can keep up with every new episode. It's your support that keeps our conversation alive and meaningful.
And if our stories have touched you, consider using the donate button on our site. Your contributions, no matter the size, are deeply appreciated. They help us continue our mission of sharing hope and healing.
Join us beyond the podcast and follow our journey on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links are on our site, so you can stay connected and be a part of the Real Recovery community every day.
Your likes, shares, and comments not only spread the message of recovery, but also remind us that we're all in this together.
So, until we meet again, remember that recovery is a journey, not a destination, and we'll be here to accompany you every step of the way to recovery, real recovery.
Thanks for listening.